Okay, so have you ever like heard of a hand that kind of has a mind of its own? Like, I'm not talking about, a puppet or something.
Right.
This is like real weird science stuff we're getting into today.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive on alien hand syndrome.
Okay.
And I gotta say, even I'm a little creeped out by this one.
Really?
Yeah. The source material we're looking at today is this YouTube video called Alien Hand Syndrome, Real Life Horror in Medical Mystery.
Wow.
And it's by this channel called Anokhi Kahani.
Okay.
And it's got this like spooky storytelling vibe that really kind of plays up the whole like my hands possessed angle.
Oh yeah, it definitely like grabs your attention.
Yeah.
It's a good hook.
Oh, totally.
I think that blend of like unsettling and scientific
is
kind of what makes this whole condition so fascinating.
For sure. So for those who haven't, heard of this before,
Yeah.
alien hand syndrome is basically like what it sounds like. Your hand just decides it's going to do its own thing. Wow.
Completely ignoring like what your brain is telling it to do.
Oh.
It's like if you're reaching for your coffee and all of a sudden your hand swerves.
Oh my God.
And just like flips the whole cup over. No conscious thought involved.
Right.
Just pure rebellious hand action.
And that's what makes it so different from like other movement disorders,
Yeah.
Like it's not just a tremor or a spasm.
Right.
People with alien hand syndrome really describe it as feeling like their hand is totally controlled by some outside force.
Wow.
Like it's not even theirs anymore.
It's wild. The video really highlights that feeling of disconnect too.
Yeah.
Like there's this one story they tell about a woman whose hand just like slapped her across the face
Oh my God.
out of nowhere.
Really?
Can you even imagine the shock?
No.
It's like your own body betraying you.
Yeah, it's a powerful illustration of how much we like rely on that seamless connection between our minds and our bodies.
And when that breaks down, it can be so disorienting.
Yeah.
And just frightening.
Totally. And the video does not hold back on the scary stories. Either, like, they even show this one image of a hand creeping towards someone's neck in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
Straight out of a horror movie.
I can see why people would jump to supernatural explanations.
Right.
Like it's easy to go there.
Yeah.
But as unsettling as these anecdotes are, it's so crucial to remember that alien hand syndrome has roots in neurology.
Yeah.
This isn't about demonic possession or anything.
Right.
It's about like understanding how the brain controls our movements.
Yeah.
And what happens when those control mechanisms just go completely awry.
Right. And the video actually emphasizes that too.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like urging viewers to seek like medical help rather than resorting to like exorcisms or something.
Yeah.
Which, good advice, solid advice.
Very good advice.
So let's delve into like the science of it all.
Okay.
The video mentions something about changes in brain division
Okay.
as like a possible cause, but it doesn't really explain what that means.
Right.
Can you like shed some light on that for us?
Sure. So when we talk about brain division in this context, we're referring to the different areas of the brain that control various bodily functions.
Right. Yeah.
So think of it like a complex control panel with specialized sections for everything.
Okay.
Movement, speech, vision, you name it.
Okay, so in a normal brain, all those sections are like talking to each other, communicating smoothly.
Exactly.
But with alien hand syndrome, something gets crossed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the wires get all mixed up.
Okay.
Specifically in those pathways that control your hand.
Right.
Leading to this disconnect between your intentions and your hand's actions.
Wow.
Imagine sending a signal to your hand to pick up a pen, but the signal gets rerouted and makes your hand wave instead.
Okay, yeah, that's a really helpful way to visualize it.
Yeah.
So like what causes those wires to get crossed in the first place? Is there like a specific injury or illness?
Yeah, that's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
While it can sometimes be linked to strokes, brain tumors, or even neurodegenerative diseases.
Okay.
There isn't always a clear-cut cause. And unfortunately, that makes it harder to both diagnose and treat.
And speaking of treatment, the video mentions that there's no like known cure for alien hand syndrome.
Yeah.
Which is pretty disheartening.
It is, and I think that adds to the fear surrounding the condition.
Right.
Like the lack of a cure can make it feel like you're at the mercy of this unpredictable force within your own body.
And then they throw in this terrifying possibility that a neurologist suggested.
Okay.
What if the hand becomes like completely independent and potentially dangerous? Like, is that something we should be genuinely worried about? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi horror movie.
Let's take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And kind of separate the speculation from the reality here.
Okay, good. Because I was starting to picture my hand turning into like a tiny rage-filled assassin.
While that's a vivid image,
yeah,
it's important to remember that even in cases of alien hand syndrome, the hand isn't acting with like its own conscious intent.
Right.
It's more about miscommunication and faulty signals within the brain.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
But it still raises questions about what could happen if the brain loses complete control over a limb.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the limits here?
It's a question that continues to fascinate and challenge researchers.
Yeah.
You know, if a hand can develop this level of autonomy, could other limbs or even entire systems follow suit?
Yeah, hold on. You're saying there's a chance that my leg could just decide to walk off on its own?
Well, let's not jump to conclusions just yet.
Okay.
While there have been some anecdotal reports of other body parts exhibiting similar involuntary movements, it's important to remember that these cases are extremely rare.
Okay, that's slightly reassuring.
Yeah.
But even just the possibility of it makes you think about the whole concept of like bodily autonomy.
Right.
Like, do we really have as much control over our bodies as we think we do?
That's a fascinating question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one that alien hand syndrome forces us to confront.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions about the mind-body connection.
Right.
And makes us wonder like what it truly means to be in control.
It's like our brains are constantly having to keep our bodies in check.
Right.
And when that fails, things can get really weird.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
But it's not just about control. It's about understanding that complex interplay between our conscious intentions.
Right.
And the intricate network of signals that govern our movements.
Speaking of complex, the video actually brings up this scene from the horror movie Evil Dead.
Right.
Where the main character has to cut off his possessed hand to stop it from attacking him.
Wow.
Obviously, that's a pretty extreme reaction.
Yeah.
But it really highlights the terror and desperation that people with alien hand syndrome might feel when they have no other options.
That comparison, while dramatic, does underscore the profound psychological impact that this condition can have.
Absolutely.
Imagine the constant fear, the feeling of vulnerability, knowing that a part of you is acting outside of your control.
It would be absolutely terrifying. And the video goes on to ask this question.
Okay.
Could alien hand syndrome affect other body parts too? Like, could our legs just start kicking? Or our eyes start blinking uncontrollably?
Well, that's a whole other level of unsettling.
Right.
I don't know if I'm ready for that conversation.
Well, it's certainly a question worth exploring.
Okay.
And perhaps by understanding how alien hand syndrome affects the brain, we can gain insights into the potential for other, even more bizarre neurological conditions.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like opening a door to a whole new understanding of what's possible.
Right.
Both in terms of the brain's like complexity and the potential for things to go wrong.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But let's like bring it back down to earth for a sec and talk about the people who are actually living with this.
Yeah.
The video mentions that some folks try to cope by keeping their like alien hand occupied, like giving it a stress ball to squeeze or a task to focus on.
Yeah.
Is that a legitimate strategy? Or is it just like a temporary distraction?
It's definitely more of a coping mechanism than a treatment.
Yeah.
Imagine the mental toll of constantly having to manage part of your body as if it were a separate entity. Right. It speaks volumes about the anxiety and fear this condition can generate. There's even a part in the video where they talk about people resorting to like restraining their hand. Lying it down.
Really?
Putting it in a glove.
No.
Almost like they're trying to contain a wild animal. It's heartbreaking to think that
it is.
People feel like that's their only option.
It's a stark reminder of the desperation that could arise when you feel like you've lost control over a part of yourself.
And it underscores the critical need for continued research,
right?
A deeper understanding of the condition, and more effective treatments.
For sure.
That's a really important point. Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in the freakiness of it all.
Right.
But for the people experiencing this, it's a real and often terrifying struggle.
Absolutely.
And I think the video does a good job of highlighting that human side of the story.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's essential to remember that.
Yeah.
Behind the strange symptoms and the scientific explanations, there are real people.
Yeah.
Whose lives are profoundly impacted by this condition.
And for those people, I think the message is clear.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Right.
And there is help available.
Yeah.
Don't let fear or shame prevent you from reaching out to medical professionals who can provide support and guidance.
That's such a crucial message.
Yeah.
This is a medical condition, not a character flaw, or something to be ashamed of.
Right.
Seeking help is the first step toward reclaiming control and improving quality of life.
The video really emphasizes seeking help from qualified doctors and neurologists, not turning to superstition or unproven remedies.
Right. It's understandable that someone might grasp at straws when faced with something.
Right.
So inexplicable and frightening. But ultimately, it's evidence-based medicine that offers the best hope for managing.
Right.
And hopefully one day even curing this condition.
I think this deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
Yeah.
Alien hand syndrome is more than just a bizarre medical mystery.
Yeah.
It's like a window into the incredibly complex relationship between our minds and our bodies.
It is.
It makes you question the very nature of
really does.
What it means to be you.
It raises profound questions about consciousness, free will, and the boundaries of self.
It's almost like our understanding of the brain is still in its infancy.
It kind of is.
Every new discovery seems to unlock even more mysteries.
That's the beauty of scientific exploration, isn't it?
It is.
The more we learn,
the
more we realize how much more there is to uncover.
Yeah.
And that sense of wonder and curiosity is what drives us to keep asking questions and seeking answers.
Well, you know me. I'm all about embracing, the weird and wonderful side of science. But I gotta admit, after this deep dive, I'm definitely gonna be paying a little extra attention to my hands, just in case they decide to get any ideas.
I must confess, I'm feeling a heightened awareness of my own limbs as well.
Right.
But perhaps that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of the intricate and often delicate balance that governs our physical selves.
And maybe it'll make us appreciate those moments when our bodies do cooperate.
Right.
Because when they don't, things can get really strange.
They can.
To say the least.
For sure.
But hey, that's what makes life interesting, right?
Absolutely. It's the unexpected. The unexplained. That keeps us curious and engaged with the world around us.
Totally.
And who knows what other mind-bending discoveries await us in the realm of neuroscience.
I can't wait to find out.
Yeah.
But for now, let's wrap up this deep dive into alien hand syndrome with a final thought for our listeners. If you've ever felt like you're not entirely in control. Like there's a part of you that operates on its own terms. Well, you might be onto something.
Or perhaps it's just a reminder that even in the most ordinary moments, there's an element of mystery and wonder at play within our own bodies. Something to ponder, perhaps, as you reach for your next cup of coffee.
Good point. And hey, if your hand suddenly decides to go rogue and dunk that coffee on your head, you'll know exactly what to blame it on.
Exactly.
Alien hand syndrome, it's not just a horror movie trope. It's a real-life enigma that's still unfolding.
And one that continues to challenge our understanding of what it means to be human.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the strange and fascinating world of alien hand syndrome.
Very cool.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Okay, so we've explored the strange symptoms and the spooky stories and the science behind alien hand syndrome. But what's the big takeaway here? What should our listeners be walking away with after this deep dive?
I think one of the most important takeaways is that our brains are way more complex and mysterious than we often realize. We just take for granted this seamless connection between our thoughts and our actions. But alien hand syndrome shows us just how fragile that connection can be.
It's like we're just starting to scratch the surface of understanding how the brain works.
Right.
And every new discovery just opens up a whole new world of questions.
And it's not just about the science either.
Right.
Alien hand syndrome also raises some pretty profound philosophical questions about free will, consciousness, and the very nature of self.
Yeah.
Like, if a part of our body can act independently of our conscious control, what does that say about who we really are?
It's almost like we have to reconsider what it means to be in control of ourselves.
Right.
Maybe it's not as straightforward as we thought.
And perhaps that's a good thing.
Okay.
It forces us to re-examine our assumptions and to appreciate the incredible complexity of the human experience.
Now, going back to the video, there was this one line that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
It asks, do we truly have complete control over every part of our body?
Right.
Or sometimes against our will, some part of the body can rebel to scare us.
Wow.
I mean, that's a pretty chilling thought.
It is. It taps into this, like, primal fear of losing control of our bodies betraying us.
Totally.
But it also invites us to consider the possibility that our bodies might have more autonomy than we give them credit for.
It's a bit like realizing that the house you live in might have a few secret rooms you never knew about.
Yeah.
A little unsettling, but also kind of exciting.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that there's always more to discover, both about ourselves and the world around us.
So what's like the final message for our listeners who are now probably looking at their hands with a mix of fascination and suspicion?
I think the key takeaway is awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to the signals your body is sending you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the incredible complexity of your brain.
Right.
And the way it orchestrates every movement.
Yeah.
Every sensation.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to, like, ask questions and seek knowledge.
Right.
Even when it takes you to some strange and unexpected places.
Beautifully put. Hey, if your hand does happen to start acting up, at least you'll know you're not alone.
Right.
There's a whole community of researchers, medical professionals, and even fellow experiencers out there who are grappling with the mysteries of alien hand syndrome.
And who knows? Maybe someday through continued research and exploration, we'll unlock the secrets of this fascinating condition.
Okay.
And find ways to restore harmony between the mind and the body.
Until then, it looks like we'll just have to keep a watchful eye on those mischievous hands of ours.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the strange and wonderful world of alien hand syndrome.
It was fun.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive, where we'll be exploring another fascinating topic.
Cool.
That's sure to make you think twice about the world around you.